All right, guys, so in this section of video, we'll be starting with numbers 15 and see how long we get. So let's look at these two problems. All they want you to do in these problems is plug in your information, okay? Plug in your information and then use the order of operations. So remember, the order of operations is parentheses first, exponents second. Now this is where people mess up. It's multiplication and division together, and then addition and subtraction is done together. Now remember, these two are done left to right. Okay, so let's look at this one on the left, okay, because that's the one that I feel everyone usually messes up with when they have to figure out what to do first. So all they want you to do in number 15 is to plug in the numbers where their corresponding parts are. So we have 5 plus x, which is 2, plus z, which is also 2, minus y, which is 5, and then divided by 5. So there's no parentheses or exponents here, but we have addition and subtraction, and we also have division. So remember, multiplication and division is done left to right, and so is addition and subtraction. So let's look at just the multiplication and division from left to right. Well, the only multiplication and division that we have is here. So we have 5 plus 2 plus 2 minus 5 divided by 5 is 1. Now, we've taken care of the multiplication and division, so now let's look at the addition and subtraction. That's also done from left to right. So you don't have to worry about what to do first. When you have just addition and subtraction, you just work it from left to right. So 5 plus 2 is 7, plus 2 is 9, minus 1 is 8. So my answer is B. All right, number 17 and 18 is just cross multiplication. Okay, just cross multiplication. Let's look at 17. All you're going to do is cross multiply, so 8 times 3 is 24. 9 times v is 9v. We're going to divide both sides by 9. Now 24 doesn't divide by 9, so we know it's got to be a decimal. So we know it's not that one. Okay. Now, you're allowed to use calculators on your test. So 24 divided by 9, we get 2.67. So my answer is A. Now, these two problems are a little bit more difficult in the fact that the denominators are binomials. Binomials means that it's two numbers combined together. So like if you look at 19, you have an x minus 8. If you look at number 20, you have an x minus 7. So let's look at number 20. Okay. We want to just cross multiply that. So first, let's just do the easy part. 3 times 4, that's easy, that's 12. Now, we have to make sure that that 8 multiplies with the x and the 7. So we're going to put it in parentheses. So when I distribute that 8, I get 8x minus 56. Right? Now, going back to what we talked about, when we have our variable, we keep what's close to the variable and we get rid of what's far from the variable. So keep the 8 because it's right next to the variable. Get rid of the 56. That crosses out. We get 68 equals 8x. So now we divide by 8. Now, when we use our calculator, 68 divided by 8 is going to equal 8.5. Guys, these are just problems where we want you to make sure that, hey, if I say a statement, what would it mean if I were to write it out as an algebraic expression? So 9 more than 10. If I said I have 9 more people in the class, wouldn't I just add 9 to it? So 9 more than 10 would be A. You just add them together. 6 increased by 9. Well, if you increase something, you add to it. So that would be D. Those should be pretty easy. Okay? Now, number 24 is a little bit different. Decrease by 5. Well, we know decrease means it loses. So it's either going to be A or B. Now, if I say that 10 was decreased by 5, I would say 10 minus 5. If I said 11 decreased by 5, I would say 11 minus 5. So my answer would be B. All right, so now let's look at the graphing, okay? So before you even do these problems, remember, if it has a less than symbol, okay, if it has a less than symbol or a greater than symbol, it's a dashed line. If it has a less than or greater than or equal, less than or equal to or greater than equal to, it's a solid line. Okay? Now, remember, if it's a less than symbol, it shades below. If it's a greater than symbol, it shades above. So before I even do 25, I can narrow it down, right? I can look at my answer, or I can look at this and say, hey, that's a less than symbol. So it's got to be a dashed line, and it's got to be shaded below. So before I even do 25, I know it's got to be a dashed line and shaded below. So it can't be B, and it can't be C, because those are solid lines. Whoops. So it's got to be either A or D. Well, if I look at A, the shading's below the line. If I look at D, the shading's above the line. So it's got to be A. But hey, let's make sure that we know how to do these problems by hand if we need to. Okay. You graph these just like you graph lines. So if I look at this, right, I want it to be in mx plus b form. So my y-intercept is 2. So it's got to cross at 2. Well, this crosses at 2. This doesn't. It also, here's my slope. So my slope is -4. So that means it goes down 4 and over 1. Well, this goes down 4 and over 1. Down 4 and over 1. That's a less than symbol. So less than means it has to shade below. So my answer is A. Okay. Now, 26, I'm going to do this one by hand, because there might be a chance where, hey, maybe just by crossing things out, you can't figure it out, okay? So if you look at 26, okay, if we look at the inequality sign on 26, right, that's my inequality sign. That has an equal bar on it. So because it has an equal bar, it has to be a solid line. So it has to be a solid line, so we know right off the bat it can't be A, B, or C. So it's, D. So it's automatically C. But hey, let's make sure we understand how to do this, because you might not be able to cross it out like that. So our equation is y is greater than or equal to -2 over 5 x plus 5. So if I'm looking at a coordinate plane, I would have to cross it at +5. So it crosses at +5, and its slope is down 2 and over 5. So down 2 over 5. And because this has an equal bar, we make a solid line. And because my arrow is pointing to the right, it's a greater than symbol. So my answer would shade above. So my answer would have to be C. Now with these problems, they're not in slope-intercept form, so what you have to do is you have to put them in slope-intercept form. Okay? So let's look at number 28. We have 8x plus 5y is greater than or equal to 25. So to put it in slope-intercept form, we want to get this y by itself. So remember, if you want to get a variable by itself, you keep what's close, get rid of what's far. So we're going to take away 8x. That crosses out. I get 5y greater than or equal to. I have a -8x and a +25. Now what I want to do is get rid of the 5. So I divide both sides by 5. I get y is greater than or equal to -8 over 5 x, and then 25 over 5, which is +5. So my graph has to cross at +5 and then go down 8 and over 5. It also has to have a solid line. So it has to be solid, so I know it can't be this one, and it can't be this one. It has to have a negative slope, so it has to go downhill. So it's got to be this one. It's got to be D. Okay. Oh, wait, it could be B. I'm sorry. So these are both negative slopes. All right, so which one goes down 8 and over 5? B goes down 8 and over 5. If I zoom in on it, right? Here's 5. It goes down 8, so 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, and then it goes over 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So yep, it's that one. All right. With these, they want you to just solve each by graphing, okay? They're both going to be in standard form. So remember, if you want to graph something in standard form, it's pretty easy. All you have to do is cover up and write the y-intercept and x-intercept. So let's look at number 30. If I cover up the y value, I get 2x equals 3. So when I divide both sides by 2, I get 3 over 2. Well, 3 over 2, guys, is 1.5. So I'm going to go where x is 1.5, and I'm going to mark it. Now I'm going to do the same thing. I'm going to cover up the x. And I get negative y equals 3. Well, if negative y equals 3, then that means y equals negative 3. So I'm going to go to where that is. And now I'm just going to connect those for my line. Now we're going to do the same thing on the bottom. We're going to cover up. Okay, we'll do this one in red. We get 2x equals 1. So therefore x equals 1/2. Well, x equals 1/2 would be right here. Now we're going to cover up. And we get y equals 1. Should be right here. So these connect. And we see that our intersection happens here. Over 1 and negative 1. So my answer would be C. Okay. Now, solving by substitution. In order to use substitution, you have to have a variable by itself. Well, both these problems have variables by themselves. Okay, so let's look at number 32. That looks like it's a little tougher. Okay. We see that y is equal to x minus 13. So that means I can replace the y right here with x minus 13. So 5x plus 6. Where we plug in, we're going to put parentheses. We're going to go ahead and plug in our x minus 13. And now we're just going to solve it. So we get 5x plus 6x. 6 times 13 would make negative 78. Now we're going to combine together our like terms. We get 11x minus 78 equals negative 23. When you add 78 to the other side, you get 55, so you get 11x equals 55. So therefore, x would have to equal 5. Now, there's only one answer that could be. It's this one, C. Now, let's say you're not doing multiple choice. How do you find your y? Well, you just go back to where what y is equal to. Y is equal to x minus 13, right? That's what it says right here. So if you plug a 5 in, 5 minus 13 is negative 8. All right. A lot of y'all like this one, elimination. Okay. In these problems, you have elimination. Everything's lined up, and you already have opposites. All you have to do if you have opposites is add the two equations together. So time's almost up on this video because we only have 15 minutes for each video. So let me do this real quick. Okay. You're just going to add together. Well, negative 8 and those cross out. Negative 3 and positive 4 would make positive 1y. 8 plus negative 16 would make negative 8. So y is negative 8. So it can't be A or C. So if y is negative 8, all we're going to do is go back to the originals and plug negative 8 in. So let's look at the bottom one. 8 times x plus 4 times y, which we said was 8, equals negative 16. So we get 8x plus 32 equals negative 16. If you take away 32 on both sides, you get 48. So 8x equals negative 48. I'm sorry. Where did I make a mistake? Oh, that's negative 8. Sorry. So that would make negative 32. So when you add 32, you get 16.